Okay, the title of my sermon is Information Overload, because when Charity pinned me down for a title, I was very overloaded with information. And so that's what I told her, for lack of a better I guess. But I guess this sermon could better be titled My Journey to Here. Maybe. I don't know. It's not very cohesive, but a lot of really cool ideas. Okay, so getting started, I have just really quick a couple pages of just summarizing my spiritual experience thus far. And the only reason I mention this is because I want to emphasize the amazing transformation I've made. I was so overwhelmingly backwards, and now I'd like to believe I'm pretty enlightened. So it all starts at Howell Cumberland Presbyterian Church. This is the church I went to for my first 13 years of life. And one really cool thing, they had really great traditional hymns. One not so cool thing, the preacher preached he used anecdotes from the newspaper. And I didn't really get much Bible, and I didn't really have a good sense of the whole, like, sin, getting saved. I didn't really know about any of that stuff until I started going to Bethlehem Baptist Church. And two really good things about that, they were all about reading the Bible. And they talked about sin and all the little details, getting saved. Everyone had a testimony about how they were saved and how God helped them to turn their lives around. And it was all really positive. Everyone highlighted and took notes in their Bibles. I ate it up. I jumped right in and started wearing out my Bible. I learned a ton about the Bible. Well, at least like their interpretation of the Bible. I got a lot of Bible history later. So, two kind of negative things. I noticed like every single sermon was all about the altar call. Everybody's got to get saved. It was relentless every Sunday morning, every Sunday night. But they kept scaring people into getting saved and talking about how bad hell would be. And they also said, if you're not 99.9% sure you're going to get saved, then you're 100% going to hell. And I was so scared all the time. Like, I'm going to hell, I'm not sure. And I tried to get saved over and over and over again. I was trying to get saved. And I was never 100% sure. And kind of like Doug was talking about a couple weeks ago, I guess I just didn't have a good enough imagination. Another kind of bad thing, I was extremely judgmental. That was part of the thing about this church. They taught you to be like self-righteous and judge those who aren't, there with you in church. I was so hardcore that I started to even like twist verses in the Bible to mean weird things. I started like questioning my music and whether I was holding my fiddle on a pedestal. Like, they say don't hold anything above God. I was thinking, oh, I'm holding my fiddle above God. I feel I spend way more time playing music than I do reading my Bible. Is there some kind of moral connotation here? Pretty backwards, right? So, started to change things around when I was, 16 or 17, started visiting other churches. I had a car of my own. I could go somewhere else. And I found that I liked Episcopal churches, just liturgical churches in general, because they were very structured and because they do the same readings in each church around the globe every morning. There was something like really cool about being part of something so big and so global and so ancient. And plus you get that little sip of wine at communion every Sunday morning. I thought that was cool. Because in the Baptist church and the Presbyterian church, you don't get communion very often. I think we got communion at the Baptist church like once a year, maybe twice.
Yeah, that's how they mention
like never.
Once a year.
Okay, so then I visited other churches in other countries. If I just happened to be traveling, like I was studying abroad in Peru, I went to several really cool churches in Peru. Here's this is Lima Cathedral in Peru. And when I went to Brazil, I went to some cool churches. The coolest church service I've ever been to was at Rio Cathedral.
Wow.
And here's the inside. It was seriously the coolest church service ever. They did like several different languages, and like they did Hebrew and Latin and Spanish and Portuguese and a little bit of English. And they had people from like different countries. This happened to be a special service for them, but they had people from different countries. They had somebody representing every continent except for Antarctica, and they had all the incense, and there's just something really special about that. So that was a really cool experience. So then I found myself kind of sticking around Flat Creek First United Methodist Church after I moved to Flat Creek. And that's where I decided the purpose of church in my life: community, accountability, and service. The church was in the community where I lived. I moved to Flat Creek the second I turned 18. And well, that was the little church, one of the churches in the community where I lived. So, community, accountability, and service. Those were the kind of what I figured out was the purpose of church in my life. People took time to look out for me. They genuinely loved and supported me. I gave back to the church by contributing my musical services every Sunday morning. I played in a string trio with Jiminy Gay, and sometimes as a quartet or quintet. It was really special. This church was very positive. People who had nothing else to be happy about. People who, there was this one couple who, they were both in very poor health condition. They were trying to take care of each other. They couldn't hardly take care of each other. They were just really, really pitiful, had nothing to be happy about. But at this church, they had that something to be happy about. Every Sunday morning, we had a part of the service where we would talk about joys and concerns. And they would always stand up and say something about how happy they were that the weather was nice or that the music was amazing. I mean, even though they had nothing else to be happy about. So that was cool that church gave them that, and they gave them community. The church was also very negative. The preacher was very anti-gay. He was hateful towards the LGBT crowd and Muslims. Everyone was welcome at that church, but I don't think a gay or Muslim would have been welcome had they walked in the door. We had to say, this church was disgustingly patriotic. We had to say the pledge every Sunday morning, and every time there was some kind of patriotic holiday, we had to observe it with holy reverence. So enough negativity. That's my church experience. And just a real quick summary of my home life growing up. I have overcome a lot, guys. My homeschool education was far below standard, but I got my bachelor's degree in English from MTSU, and I learned how to write, and I learned a lot about literature, and I'd like to say I'm pretty average, or maybe slightly above average intellectually now. So I've overcome my homeschool education. I'm still in the process of overcoming a shopaholic mother who hoards. My home life was chaotic, and I just can't forget. On more than one occasion, I ate a cockroach.
Oh.
There are just so many of them. I mean, I would just be eating a bowl of cereal, and then something would be moving in my mouth. And yeah, it was pretty bad.
Wait, did it taste bad?
It was good protein.
Maybe make it a diet.
I couldn't invite my friends over. I have a reoccurring, I couldn't invite my friends over. And I had one friend who's just so disgusted at the carpet. Why are we sitting on this carpet playing a board game? And I was just used to it. I was like, what's wrong with it? This is what I'm used to. This is normal. So I really am having trouble forgiving my mom, although I'm trying. I have a reoccurring dream where I just yell at her. I mean, how can I forgive her? And then I had this one dream last week where we were in a parking garage, and she fell face first down these stairs and landed face first in concrete. I tried to help her, I turned her over and I said, don't nobody move or, wait for the ambulance or whatnot. But I woke up suddenly. It was kind of a nightmare, but I just have these dreams where I yell at my mom. So, you know how my first talk was about feng shui? Can you imagine why I would be interested in something like feng shui? I had a personal interest. I thought that it was all my fault. I thought the mess was my fault. I thought it was my fault my mom was broke all the time. I tried to get her to stop spending money on me. And now I know, okay, it wasn't my fault. I had the worst fear of something, but I didn't know what it was. I was afraid of the dark when I was a child. I was afraid that something would get me at night. I had a reoccurring nightmare that something was after me, and I would go hide before I ever saw what it was. And that I later learned through analytical psychology that that's just my shadow. Okay, more on that later.
Scared cat.
My parents were so backwards that they would make up a lie and then believe it. Even illegal stuff. They really truly believed that they were in the right. Lying was a way to survive for me. I was a pathological liar. I would lie and I didn't even know it. But I've overcome that. One day, 4 years ago, I vowed never to lie again. And I have mostly done a good job of sticking to that. Oh, and my parents kept score. It was like I had to earn their love. I was a goody two-shoes, extremely self-righteous. I was a good kid who was held on a pedestal way above my sister, who was the bad kid. I remember being so judgmental of her, of everyone. I was just taught to be judgmental. I became the emotional keystone of my family. I learned to triangulate, another psychological term. I triangulated between my parents and my sister. She would complain about me to the parents. My parents would complain about me. Wait, no, they would complain about her to me. Yeah. So my parents would even complain to me about each other. I learned how to manipulate and play everyone against each other. I was the sane one. I'm not the same now, and I apologize for who I was. But all that is in the past, and I wouldn't change it if I could. Find out why I wouldn't change it. Because it was a necessary part of my journey to here. Those experiences have helped to mold me into the person I am today. In just a very short period of time, really starting when I was 16, I have completely and totally transformed. Just a short period of time. I've learned a ton of awesome stuff, and I grew as a conscious spiritual being. I want to share with you guys some of the stuff I learned and now believe. Consciousness. My journey towards a higher level of consciousness. Consciousness initially manifested in my life as an ultra-awareness of the motivations behind my actions. I became aware of the deeper meaning of things. I would dig beneath the surface for answers and understanding. I stopped imposing my religion on others, and I started to become aware of other ideas and concepts around me. Now, I really don't have a solid grasp on the meaning of consciousness, but here's the dictionary definition. Consciousness is the state of being awake and aware of one's surroundings. But by this definition, anyone and anything can be aware. I mean, wouldn't you agree that a dog is aware of itself and its surroundings? Okay, so this isn't the definition of consciousness that I'm using. I looked up higher consciousness, and that definition, according to Wikipedia, a trusty resource, higher consciousness is the consciousness of a higher self, transcendental reality, or God. It is the part of the human being that is capable of transcending animal instincts. The concept developed in German idealism and is a central notion in contemporary popular spirituality. More on this later. Have you ever heard of Christ consciousness? It's the highest state of intellectual development and emotional maturity, according to the Center for Christ Consciousness. A better resource than Wikipedia. A lot of other religions have their version of this ultra consciousness concept. Another term might be enlightenment. Anyway, what is popular spirituality that Wikipedia referred to? I believe Wikipedia may have been talking about New Age. You guys have heard of the New Age movement? Started in the 60s. Okay, there's a lot of just stuff that gets dumped under this heading, and I'm not really sure what New Age is, so I might say something wrong about it, but I'm pretty sure a lot of my beliefs and a lot of my just stuff that I'm into just falls under the New Age heading, so that'll come up a lot. I really like the New Age movement, and I am now open-minded, and I believe everything is a possibility. Here's a quote. There are hundreds of paths up the mountain, all leading in the same direction. So it doesn't matter which path you take. The only one wasting time is the one who runs around and around the mountain, telling everyone that his or her path is wrong.
Oh.
Okay, but I bet you guys are thinking like, oh, those Christians, telling them, like whacking people over the heads and telling them they need to get saved. Okay, but how many of us are sitting here thinking like, those Christians are wrong?
That's right.
So we are in the same boat.
Yeah.
And I realize that. I mean, I've gone from being a self-righteous, judgmental Christian to being a self-righteous, judgmental, Universalist Unitarian. So I'm trying to change from my negativity to trying to change that into positivity. Christianity isn't wrong. There are many great churches. Many people would have nothing fulfilling in their lives without Christianity. Think about how many people need that as a source of community, just something to do, as a source of acceptance. So I'm slowly reconciling myself to Christianity. Slowly. But for right now, I'm very judgmental towards them. I'm working through it. The first step is being conscious of the problem. I've become conscious of other stuff, such as conspiracies. I really started off being like really into watching YouTube videos about them, but I slowly lost interest. And I think it's because it's really negative. And it kind of sent me spiraling down a vortex of negativity, and I just kind of got to where I didn't really care. I know it's all happening, but I don't care. I'm going to move on and go do my own thing. I don't have time for that. So some really cool conspiracies, or just 3 conspiracies in general. I'll just talk about 3. Number 1, the Illuminati. It's a conspiracy theory which holds that there's a global elite society that is either in control of the world or is seeking to take control of the world. They're responsible for pretty much everything that's wrong with government. The next conspiracy is 9/11. The terrorist attacks on the Twin Towers. They were actually an inside job caused by the Illuminati to instigate a war with the Middle East. The Middle East has oil, and we want it. Plus, we need a huge military budget to support all the huge corporations. So we gotta have a war to have a military budget. I believe there's some truth to the first 2. I'm not completely writing them off. I'm sure there's some truth to them. But this third one is very crazy. Have you guys heard of the lizard people conspiracy? How many people have heard?
Yeah.
Okay, we have 5. Okay, let me tell you guys what this is about. The lizard people conspiracy, these reptilians they're shape-shifting reptilians, aliens, who control Earth by taking on human form and gaining political power to manipulate our societies. They are 5 to 12 feet tall. blood-drinking, shape-shifting reptilian humanoids from the Alpha Draconis star system. Now hiding in underground bases, they are the force behind a worldwide conspiracy against humanity. David Icke contends...
This is the plot to be.
And I've been here for thousands of years, or millions of years.
Sorry.
Okay. They've been here for millions of years.
In that part of it. That's the one I read.
Yeah. I've seen so many different, there's so many different alternative human histories that I've sorted through and looked through. And
our presidents are reptilians? Is that a conspiracy?
sorry?
The president's are reptilian, is that what we believe?
No, well, no, that's that's the conspiracy. It's not necessarily what we believe, but it's.
He's not a very different church.
There are those that do believe.
Okay. David Icke contends that most of the world's leaders are related to these reptilians, including George W. Bush and Queen Elizabeth II and Obama. Icke's conspiracy theories now have supporters in up to 47 countries, and he has given lectures to crowds of up to 6,000 people. My friend Ben told me that this conspiracy is actually just like a thought experiment. I mean, because it's so ridiculous it couldn't possibly be true. David Icke is just experimenting to see how many people he can convince of this.
Yeah.
I don't know, he has a lot of followers though, a lot of people who really believe this, and he is like dedicated his life to this idea, so it holds truth for somebody. I am pretty neutral on the subject. But a great resource for conspiracy stuff, if you're into this, you probably are aware of Alex Jones. Okay, he has tons of movies, and he does a 4-hour radio show every day, which he posts for free as podcasts. You can download and listen to them. You can read about David Icke's reptilians at truthism.com. I accidentally stumbled upon that website, and I was reading the first little bit and completely agreeing with it. It was about how how we listen based on our perceptions. So you guys are sitting here listening to me, but you're not really hearing what I'm saying. You're hearing what you want to hear based on like your perceptions and beliefs. And so that's the way his website started out. And his website continued to say, well, put your beliefs aside, put your paradigms aside, and listen, just without any kind of biases or anything. What you know to be true, you don't have any sort of evidence for it. What they tell you in the history books, there's no evidence for the cavemen or whatever. And you don't know for sure that, there's no evidence for the reptilians one way or another, so why can't you believe that in the same way that you believe the history books? So, but the first little bit, I thought, yeah, that's great, and then I got down to the reptilian part and just, X. I'm just not going to worry about this, and here's why. Another cool thing I've gone through and read, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And the first habit is be proactive. Change starts from within, and highly effective people make the decisions to improve their lives through things that they can influence rather than by simply reacting to external forces. So you can't change them. Don't worry about the lizard people. They'll just take over the world, and you just need to go do your own thing. But that's the first habit. Be proactive. Don't worry about stuff you can't influence. Worry about stuff you can. Begin with the end in mind. Develop, that's number 2. I don't have the number, but I kind of like the picture. Begin with the end in mind. Stephen Covey is the author of this book, and he has a pretty cool, not anecdote, but he gets the reader to imagine their funeral. And, you're at your funeral and you know you died at age 100 or whatever, and you want to imagine like, okay, what do I want people to be saying about me? How do I want to have lived my life? So you think about that and write it down, and that's how you got to start living your life. Number 3, put first things first. Spend time doing what fits into your personal mission. That involves having a personal mission statement, which is number 2. Number 4, think win-win. That's pretty self-explanatory. Something interesting about that. In cases where win-win isn't an option, and this is win-win, okay, self-explanatory, but seek agreements and relationships that are mutually beneficial. But if you can't find something mutually beneficial, then choose no deal. Sometimes that's the best alternative. Number 5, think first to understand and then to be understood. Don't listen to somebody with the intention of responding. Listen to somebody with the intention of understanding. Number 6 is synergize. Through trustful communication, find ways to leverage individual differences to create a whole that is greater than the sum of the parts. And Stephen Covey says, make 1 + 1 = 3. Because what I can do and what you can do, added together, what we do separately, added together, isn't as great as what we do together.
Because it's multiplied together.
Because it multiplies, yeah, so 1 + 1 = 3. And then the last thing is sharpen the saw. And you guys can imagine this, the analogy, the guy sawing on a log all day long, and it's just getting harder and harder and taking longer and longer. But he can get it done quicker if he just takes 10 minutes to just stop and sharpen the saw. So, renew your minds. Maybe you can be more effective. So, this, Stephen Covey's 7 Habits, has been a really great resource for me. Not that I'm the most effective person right now, but I've gone from being like not effective at all to being like somewhat effective. So, it's helped a little bit. One really cool thing in this book that I want to talk about, the urgent, important quadrants. I like to spend my time, and effective people spend their time, working in quadrant 2. So you guys kind of study this a little bit. We've got urgent things and non-urgent things. Important things and non-important things.
Joey, Hillary.
No, wait, later.
It's not a question. You're just too smart for me. I can't figure this out.
Okay, let me help. Okay, so think about something that's not urgent and non-important, like going on a vacation.
That's not urgent.
It's not really that important.
Yeah.
Going watching TV. That's not urgent or important. Now think of stuff that's urgent and important. Like, I don't know, getting a cavity filled.
Emergencies.
Yeah, emergencies. Okay, phone calls and emails.
That's not urgent.
Phone calls and emails are very urgent. Very important.
To adults,
So-
maybe.
You've got these important things over here that are not urgent, like exercising, like me practicing. But that's where, like, writing a book, you don't have like a deadline on. Okay, never mind, you have a deadline on writing a book. But for me, I've got this book that I'm trying to write, and I have no deadline, so it's not urgent. But it is important. So if I spend time writing a book, then I'm like in quadrant 2. So I kind of keep this in mind. It's a cool chart if you guys want to start applying that to your own lives.
A Weird Al song.
Oh yeah, here's another alternative view of human history, and this is Everything You Know Is Wrong by Lloyd Pye. It's a book, and he has like videos on YouTube and stuff. Everything You Know Is Wrong is the product of years of research into human origins, spanning everything from the oldest known recorded histories of the world to modern genetic discoveries. In it, Lloyd Pye postulates that his alternative view of human evolution, now called intervention theory, we descended from humanoids like Bigfoot, but 200,000 years ago, aliens came to planet Earth and messed with the hominoid DNA in order to create us, humans. And they used us as slaves. And that's why there's no missing link, because we went straight from hominin to humans through alien
It does start with H.
hominin. Did I say hominoid or hominin? Hominoids.
I thought it was hominoid.
Anyway, here's some crop circles.
Oh,
Oh, that's nice.
that's awesome.
And whoa!
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, there are tons of these, hundreds of pictures of these that are so cool. And then there's a fake one.
Oh.
Okay, so people dispute
The marijuana leaf is
whether crop circles are messages from the aliens or mere hoaxes. Here is a hoax beside an alien message. These crop circles appear suddenly, usually at night, and at first they were just simple circles of bent over grain stalks, but soon a new crop of more elaborate designs evolved.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So,
Cinnamon.
oh, someone caught the formation of a crop circle on video, and it's just a 2 or 3 minute video. I mean, the whole creation of it. And there's these glowing orbs that are just zipping around the cornfield, not cornfield, wheat field probably. And then just all of a sudden the crop just starts laying over, it just starts bending over on its own as these orbs are like zipping around.
Wait,
But it's a fuzzy video, it's a very fuzzy video. So I mean, it can be disputed. I mean, I don't know about video editing software, but there's some pretty cool evidence that there's something more going on than just some people out there with boards and ropes. And these stalks have been accelerated, the growth has been accelerated right at the node. These are the nodes. And
Nodes.
that happens whenever, in this 2 to 3 minutes that they're bent over and the crop circles are formed. Just a burst of accelerated growth and they're bent over. And these are normal. Whatever it is, I don't know if it's wheat or whatever. So, my friend, okay, an alternative view to the alien crop circle theory, my friend Atana Badili told me that it's not aliens making the crop circles, it's actually the Earth's energies, and that these crop circles are messages from the Earth, and the Earth is imprinting sacred geometry to enhance human consciousness, to raise human consciousness. So that's an interesting theory, but then there's also the crop circles that are messages from aliens. So, and then there's also the hoaxes.
Maybe there's
But-
both.
Yeah, maybe there's both. Next thing, quantum mechanics. I'm sure a few of you guys know a little bit about quantum mechanics, but for dummies, quantum mechanics for dummies, what the bleep do we know? A journey down the rabbit trail, down the rabbit hole. And this is a movie that I recommend if you don't know anything about quantum mechanics. This is quantum mechanics and spirituality for dummies. It's super easy to understand. I'm not a science person, but I've got it. I totally understand this. It's about a woman guided by the world's top physicists, engineers, biologists, and mystics. She tumbles down the rabbit hole and gets a first-hand look at the fascinating links between science and spirituality in our everyday lives. My favorite part is, many of you are familiar with this, Dr. Emoto's water experiments. Dr. Masaru Emoto performed a series of experiments observing the effects of thoughts on water. So he would either write the thoughts on a bottle of water, get the thoughts into the bottle of the water, and then freeze them, and had a photographer take pictures. So you've got compassion and thank you and wisdom. Those are really pretty. And then you've got heavy metal music, not as pretty. I will kill you, you fool. And then there's like Adolf Hitler, which looks really horrible. And then there's Mother Teresa, which it looks all right. It's not as cool as compassion and thank you. But it looks better than Hitler, a lot better than Hitler. And then here's water before and after a Buddhist prayer. So, let's think about this, a higher level of consciousness. Can you imagine the implications? What percentage of your body is water? Like between 60 and 75%. Okay, if your thoughts have an effect on on water, I mean, think about how your thoughts have an effect on your body. Staying positive may have a profound effect on your body. Staying negative might have another effect on your body. So, Journey of Souls, another book that I recommend. This is the most life-changing book for me. This was my introduction to, oh man, it's like past time and I'm not even close to being done. I've got like 4 more pages and it's all really cool. I'll skip to like the really cool stuff. Journey of Souls, a really cool book. Have to look it up. Okay, let me do the cool stuff. You guys notice my cereal and donut and apple and pepper. Okay, so I'm gonna need some, oh yeah, and I have some Oreos. So, skipping ahead, Journey of Souls. Just skip that, I'll talk about that later. Let's do the science. Oh, this stuff is really cool. Oh, I have to sleep on this.
And tell your parents, were you going to talk about that?
This will be, I'll talk about this stuff. This will be information overload part 2. It was just so overloaded with information that we couldn't fit it all in.
Cool.
Okay, but I'll do this one really cool thing before we leave. I need a volunteer. No. I need a non-neighbor volunteer. I can do this with you anytime, because you're my neighbor. Okay? Can I trust you to not mess this up?
Trust me to do what you say.
Okay, so here's a healing crystal.
I don't know.
I'm wearing it around my head, around my neck.
Okay.
And there's this really cool thing. Yeah, everything has energy. Everything's energy. And everything's either positive energy or negative energy. So when you dangle a crystal over something, it's either going to spin clockwise or counterclockwise depending on the energy. So clockwise is positive energy and counterclockwise is negative energy. So let's test these foods and see if they're positive or negative. What do you guys think about the Oreos?
Negative.
You think they're going to be negative? Let's do it over here that way everybody can see. No. Hold this over the
Makes a
Oreos.
difference.
Can you guys trust Courtney not to throw the experiment? She's going to hold this perfectly still. She's not going to spin it on purpose. She's going to let it spin on its own.
I kind of shake. What?
Oh,
Let me show you what you can do. Look, put her arm, put it down here, and she
Alright,
hold the
this
arm
is my
like
chair.
this.
Okay.
Okay.
That would be good.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
experimenting.
Starting to go clockwise, isn't it? No? Counterclockwise.
Counterclockwise a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
All right, do you mind if I get another volunteer to try? You don't have to
I'm
try.
shaky, I'm sorry. I didn't know
Okay,
were
can you
gonna ask me
can you
something
hold
straight.
it really still? Okay,
Yeah,
let's
okay.
get Will.
Will can do it.
Can we eat the Oreos after?
Yeah, which way is it spinning? Right?
I-
Counterclockwise? Not really doing anything.
It's just dangling.
Oh, when you know, this always works at home, but then you get it in front of people and it doesn't work. Oh
Yeah.
wait, what is it doing? Just dangling.
Just rocking.
Okay, let's try.
It's
the-
indecisive.
I like it. Let's try cereal. Let's see if the cereal has any energy. Okay, now I tested this one before I left home. I haven't actually tested these Oreos, but hold it right here. See if holding it closer makes a difference. Okay, so it's perfectly still. Perfectly still. Let's see if it'll start spinning counterclockwise. No. Maybe I am the one throwing the experiment. Because at home it always works either clockwise or counterclockwise. And so what I've discovered is like even if you get fruit, like non-organic fruit at the store, I've gotten a piece of fruit that it's actually negative and then I washed it and then it's neutral. But then stuff that Michael grows from the garden is always super duper positive.
I'm not moving my hand, other than moving it closer to the thing.
Okay.
Stop
Well,
moving
just-
your mind.
You try.
Stop moving your mind.
Well, yeah. Okay, let's try. Oh, I gotta get this experiment to work. Let's try one other.
Maybe your crystal's
Really
very
believe
shy
it
to
will.
form.
Maybe it's having performance anxiety.
Okay. So wait. Stand right here. Let me try it, and then let you try it. I don't want to be the one throwing. I don't want to be the one making the crystal spin though, because, duh. I mean, anybody could throw the experiment, but. Okay. Are you perfectly still?
Maybe it's just church.
Yeah, maybe it's no. Couldn't be. Oh wait, there it goes. Yeah, it caught the energy. Okay, but that was with me. No. I don't. Okay.
Really not.
It may interact with your energy.
Oh, come on, Will, you can make it. You can make it spin the right way.
I'm not forcing anything.
Okay.
How about
Oh,
focus on it?
that's so aggravating. Okay, so at home,
It is spinning just slightly.
yeah, I wonder what it is about. Oh, there it goes.
That's not me.
That's not you?
That's
Yeah,
not me.
That's where's it going?
It's going clockwise.
Good.
Yeah, I just wanted to get somebody up here and have the Christmas and it not be them. Yes, it wasn't you. Wait, let's test one more negative thing. One more negative thing. Let's try
Oh.
the
No.
donuts.
No.
Poor guy.
It's negative.
Donuts
That's
are
positive
negative.
for me.
No, I haven't tested the donuts, but I was kind of thinking maybe they'd be negative.
Wait, are they gonna be donuts?
Okay, they're not doing anything.
No, actually it is.
Oh,
Let's go in the reverse order.
yeah. And are
That's
you
not
moving
me.
it?
That's not me.
Donuts good.
I don't believe food is good or bad, so I wouldn't be doing anything.
He's going counterclockwise.
Mhm.
It was going counterclockwise. Okay, enough of that. We got. Okay, there's one other.
You need to wrap it up.
Yeah, I need to wrap it up. I'll wrap it up. I'll save the other experiment for the next talk. Sorry for going over. sorts of really cool stuff that I see.